Hi everyone, this is Coach Disney. I am the Great Hearts Western Hills Athletic Director, and this was the presentation that was given to our families at the Spartan Athletics meeting last Tuesday, May 3rd. So first, I want to talk about what our mission and our vision is here at Great Hearts, and our mission and our vision is, in our desire to flourish, Great Hearts Western Hills exists to build an intentional community of learners actively involved in the process of loving what is true, good, and beautiful. And I would really like to point out that word intentional because here at Great Hearts Western Hills, everything that we do is with intention. We don't just do things for the sake of doing things. We do them because it is going to help our scholars become people who enjoy learning and who, like our mission and our vision says, are actively involved in that process of learning and also actively involved in loving the wonders that our world has to offer. And athletics helps with this in so many ways. And one way that athletics helps with this is, our good friend Socrates says it very well, is that no man has the right to be an amateur in the matter of physical training. It is a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable. And this directly feeds into our athletics and into our mission and our vision because our scholars will get to face challenges and they will get to face adversaries and they will get to find courage and they will get to find teamwork and they will get to see exactly how capable they are, but also how capable they are when they work together. And that allows them to become that community of learners that we just talked about in our first slide. But in addition, it also speaks to someone, if you can control your mind, if you can control your body, then you can do more things in the classroom. If you can control those impulses through like that, which athletics teaches us, then you will be able to continue on and study at a higher level. With that being said, let's talk about our athletic structure. So we will belong in the TEACSAL. That is the Texas Charter Academic and Athletic League. You can expect us to play against schools such as KIPP, BASIS, Jubilee, IDEA, amongst others. We will never play against an ISD or against a private school. Well, private schools maybe when we hit regionals or state, but that would be very rare. Ninth grade will participate in the ninth grade and 10th grade division of TEACSAL. They will not participate yet in a junior varsity and varsity. As we continue to grow, we will add in junior varsity and varsity. But for the next 2 years, we should be participating with the 9th and the 10th grade divisions. Our middle school team will consist of 6th through 8th grades. And we will also have intramurals. So intramurals will be solely for our 5th graders and for our 6th graders who did not make the school team or who missed tryouts. So what's the difference between our Spartan sports and our intramural sports? Spartan sports, you must attend the tryouts and you must make the team. Intramural sports, there are no tryouts. For Spartan sports and both for intramural sports, you must have a physical on file clearing you by a medical professional to play at the time of tryouts. And this is so important. Medical physicals are valid for 1 year and 1 year only. So if you received your physical in April of 2022, you do not have to get a new physical until April of 2023. I highly encourage you all to get your physicals now. I cannot stress this enough. Pediatricians typically fill up very quickly at the beginning of the school year with everyone trying to get all sorts of school physicals and school shots and sport physicals in. So I highly encourage you to go on ahead, make your appointment now, and get your physical now. So in the Spartan sports, it's important to note that we play to win, and therefore playing time is up to the coach. That's extremely important. I trust my coaches. They make, they are in the position that they are in, and so playing time is completely up to them. But in intramural sports, playing time is as even as possible because remember, intramurals, it's all about development. Most of our athletes might not know anything about the sport, and so the goal is for all students to get to play in intramural sports. Spartan sports, you can expect the time commitment to be about 3 to 6 days a week, and that depends upon the sport. And let me stress for a second that that fifth and that sixth day a week will be very rare. You will typically only see a 5 or 6 day a week of the sport when you are in playoffs and at the state level. That will not be a weekly thing. Typically, practices will be 3 days a week with one competition, or maybe 3 days a week with two competitions. And that just depends on the time of the season. But that fifth or sixth day would be very rare. Intramural sports, the time commitment can be 2 to 3 days per week, and games will most likely be Saturdays. This could potentially change, but most likely we're looking at games to be on Saturdays. So for Spartan sports, there will also be practices during holiday breaks, and you can expect games during Independent Study Week. So if your child is interested in playing basketball, it's important to note that they will most likely have a game during that time. Intramural sports, there may be practices during holiday breaks, but these are considered optional. So let's talk academics real quick. So both Spartan and intramural sports must maintain a 70% or above in all classes. This includes classes such as PE, Latin, music, art, and anything that you may consider an extracurricular or a special. So this is also important to note is that this eligibility is determined at progress report and report card time. So that means if progress report card came out and your student had a C, and the next week they took a test and they didn't do too well on it and they dropped their grade to below that 70%, they are not considered ineligible. Now, if your student had a C, took a test, and it dropped their grade below a 70%, and then that D was reflected on the report card, then your student is considered ineligible. Now, the difference with Spartan sports and intramural sports is that only eligibility is only determined at the progress report and report card time for the Spartan sports, meaning if your child fails a class at report card or progress report card, they are considered ineligible for 4 weeks. So it's very important that we start our students off strong and with good study habits at right from the beginning of the year so they don't get themselves dug into a hole. With that being said, intramural sports, again, reminding you that this is a development league, intramural sports have the chance to earn back their eligibility every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks for intramural sports, there will be a progress report check or a grade check. And if that student was failing at the time of 70% or at the time of the progress report card, and then they get their grade up to a 70% or higher, they are then considered eligible for play. Students who are considered ineligible may attend practice. We want them to attend practice, but they may not participate in games. If they become ineligible 2 times in a row, we may ask them to refrain from going to practice so they can focus on their grades. So let's talk about the sports that we're going to have in middle and high school coming up. We plan on having boys and girls cross country, boys flag football, and girls volleyball. These would be our fall sports. For winter, we will have boys basketball and girls basketball. And right now, it looks like we will have boys rugby. At this moment, we are on par to have boys rugby. Spring sports will include boys soccer, girls soccer, boys and girls track and field, and girls softball. And mind you, these are all sports that I just noticed are just told you about are for both the middle and the high school levels. Let's talk intramurals. What intramurals will we be having? There will be boys flag football and girls volleyball. Spring intramural sports will be boys basketball and girls basketball. And this will be winter intramural sports that we plan on having will be boys soccer and girls soccer. Potential intramural sports that we're looking at getting include girls flag football, boys volleyball, and co-ed archery. Hopefully, we will be able to add these in next year, but if we cannot add these in next year, then look for these the year after. But we are looking to add these intramural sports in, and our 7th and our 8th graders would be welcomed to play in this as well. Sports that we're wanting to add that may not happen this year, but are hopefully on track to happen in the next 2 to 3 years would be sports such as baseball, powerlifting, tennis, and swimming. There's a couple factors that play into when we would be able to add these sports and if we will be able to. Number one, the biggest factor is can we secure competition for these sports, especially for swimming. That is a sport that we have had a lot of interest in, but we need to find competitions that we can compete in. And then additionally would be things such as coaches and facility rentals for us to utilize. So, what does it cost to participate in our sports? High school sports, you can expect to cost $300 per sport. Middle school sports will be $275 per sport. And intramural sports will be $115 for the first sport because this pays for the t-shirt and $100 per sport after the first. So, if your child plays intramural flag football, they would pay $115 for the first for that sport, and then following that, if they decided to play basketball next, they would pay $100 per sport. These prices are on par with all of the other Great Hearts in our district, and we're going to get into why it's going to cost and what it does cost, and some resources that are available to you all. So the reason why it costs to participate is because we need to pay our coaches. They give up their time and their free time to help do to coach our young scholars, and they also take their free time to continue on with continuing education. So it's very important that we pay our coaches. We have other costs such as uniforms, league fees, facility rentals for some of our sports. We have to pay referees. We have to do equipment upkeep. Traveling, we may have to get buses for some of our competitions. But in addition to that, field and facility maintenance upkeep, such as paint, floors, etc., all go into the cost of our athletics program. Okay, so what resources are available to you? If you are on free and reduced lunch, this is a great resource. All you need to do is email me letting me know that you are on free and reduced lunch, and that gives you a discount off of the cost of the sport. If you are unsure if you are on free and reduced lunch, please email me and I can help you figure out if you are. Additionally, if you have multiple students in your home, there is a multi-scholar discount. The second scholar is 10% off and the third scholar is 15% off of their sport. If you do not have multiple scholars but you only have one and they want to play multiple sport, that third sport is 25% off, and this does include for intramurals. Lastly, there's a family cap at $750. So if you reach the $750 mark, your student does not pay further for any sports. So what kind of support do we need from our parents? We need support in the following capacities. We will potentially need carpooling to games with the shortage of bus drivers and buses here. Due to the pandemic and unfortunately just the labor shortage in general, it's very hard to book transportation to games. So we would potentially need our parents to pull together to help carpool our students to games, and especially our students of parents who cannot get off work in time. We would need help with concession stands and game minutes, and also keeping book and running scoreboard. Please keep in mind that TEKSAL does require us to supply one parent volunteer per competition. That does not mean that they will always use that parent volunteer, but what it does mean is if they come to us and they say, we need a parent volunteer, we have to have one readily available. So there are some expectations that we expect from our students if they are going to participate in intramurals and in sports with us. The first being that they need to pass all classes in order to be eligible to play. Training can cramp their social life, and time management is the key to success. We are here to help them, and we expect our parents to also help us with their time management skills. Practices are not optional. They are after school, and some contests are held on Saturdays. That expectation is there, and we expect our students to prioritize their sport if this is the sport they want to play. You may have practice and never get, or you may practice and never get to start, or have limited playing time. And again, this isn't applicable to intramurals. However, this is also important to note that your child may only get 2 to 4 minutes a game in basketball, and that is at coach's discretion. And so we encourage our students, if they are frustrated with their playing time, to talk to their coach and ask their coach, what's going on and what can I do to get better so that you would want to play me more. We are here to get our students to advocate for themselves, and that's a great way for them to learn how to do that. Lastly, tutoring and detentions take priority over practice. So if you're familiar with HB 4545, where if a student fails the STAR test, they have to get in 30 hours of additional tutoring before or after school due to this law that was passed last year. That tutoring does take precedence. Coaches know that, and coaches know not to punish or take away time for just based on tutoring. That is a priority. We also expect our students to represent themselves and their team and their school in a well-behaved manner on and off the field. This is important to note that privilege of participation can be revoked due to behavior. So, for instance, if your child receives an out-of-school suspension, they will be suspended from their sport additionally for that week, including in competition. Uh, Students may be taken off the team if behavior is egregious, but if that happens, that would constitute in a parent meeting before that decision would be made. There's several expectations that we have of our parents, of our student athletes. And our first expectation is to be a parent first. Celebrate your child in the team. We know you are there predominantly to watch your child, but your child is a part of this team. And so we expect our parents to take joy in the successes of our teams. But again, we also expect our parents to encourage our children and their teams through their challenges. Most importantly, let the coaches coach. um, Coaches are up there, they have a reason for what they're doing, and your child should be looking at your coach for direction in the middle of the game and not to the stands for direction. So that's also very important. Be there, encourage them, and be excited, but be a parent first, let the coaches coach, and let the kids play. There's some communication that we do expect from parents, such as concerns expressed directly to the coach. Um, I will go on ahead and take this moment to say that there is a 24-hour rule after contest. Coaches cannot be contacted, and coaches cannot contact you 24 hours within 24 hours of a game. And that's just because emotions run high after games, and any questions, comments, or concerns should be held onto for 24 hours. If you have a concern about anything, though, please express it directly to the coach. Do not go through any Facebook groups or the band app that we may have for communication. Uh, Directly email or get your coach on a call and talk to them about what's going on. We are here to partner with you, and so we want to know if you have a concern so we can help navigate through that, and we want to know as quickly as possible. If there's any scheduled conflicts, if there's an illness or an injury, please let us know in advance so we can help plan our practices and plan our games. Social media should be only used in a positive manner. So there should not be bashing of referees, coaches, teams, your team, or the other team in any way, shape, or form of social media. Now, we cannot tell you what to do with your own personal accounts, but anything that is utilized with the group account or that is associated with the Great Hearts Western Hills, we do ask that you please, 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 please utilize social media in a positive manner. Remember, coaches and parents are a partnership. We are here to partner with you for the growth and the development of your scholar in their academics and in their athletics. And we can only partner with you if you communicate with us and if we communicate with you. So keep that communication line open and let us be partners together in the growth and the development of your child. So what else can you expect from coaches? Well, you can expect coaches to organize an inclusive sport practice. You can expect a weekly communication from your coaches. You can expect a team meeting at the beginning of the season. And you can expect coaches to treat all scholar athletes with a high level of dignity and respect. You should never see one of our Great Hearts Western Hills coaches yelling, degrading, or berating a student because that is not a high level of dignity or respect. There is an athletics handbook. This was handed out, and this will also be added into with a link for this for your viewing. If you are not unable to get the link, you may email me, but this will also be handed out before every sport practice as well. And lastly, that has been our athletics presentation. Should you have any questions or comments or concerns, please email me at elizabeth.disney@greatheartswesternhills.org. Thank you all and have a good night.